Well, I haven't done one of these in months and months and months, and I am sitting in Cobble Hill, BC, on Vancouver Island in the Cowichan Valley. You can probably hear airplanes and crickets and a variety of other natural and unnatural sounds. I may transcribe this, or I may leave it simply as an audio. I wanted to say something about the Queen. I don't watch the news. In fact, I stay away from it as much as possible. And yet, the news infiltrates my social media, YouTube, Instagram, viewing friends' posts. I can't escape it while I'm still engaged in social media or, human contact for that matter, however remotely. And once again, I see an issue where you can practically draw a straight line down my Facebook friends. And that center line, there's a few people sort of straddling that line. But for the most part, I've got one side of that divide where people love the Queen. They are feeling sad, respectful. They're filled with emotion of that they have lost some kind of kindred figurehead, someone that they feel akin to, that they have admiration for, and things like that. On the other side, I have people who are angry and upset with colonization and the figurehead that's there, and what that has done to them personally, their communities, their families. And then there's feelings of upset and strong emotion, equally strong, if not stronger. Then there's hateful statements that come up, or jokes, sarcasm. And if anybody knows me at all, they know that I really have no interest in the monarchy. I also do not have respect for or revere the monarchy. And going into that a bit, it doesn't mean that I hate them or that I would behave in a disrespectful manner if I had to encounter anyone. And that's not because of the person, it's because of me. It's because I choose to behave respectfully, but I also choose to separate myself from things that I don't believe in and things that have harmed so many people. I cannot show any reverence towards the personification of colonialism. I absolutely can't. But I'm neutral on the subject because I don't, having hate and anger taking up space in my head without paying me rent does not benefit me. And so when I look at this, when I see the outpouring of adoration for this queen, I feel sad that the lack of awareness, maybe, or I'm not sure what it is, lack of awareness for the destruction of colonialism on the planet, for starters. But at the same time, I look at things like our perceptions of respect and dignity and all of these kind of things. We gravitate to people who are dressed well, who have proper manners, who appear to be dignified and polite and all these things. But they're all surface things. And sure, it makes politics very pleasant on the surface. But then when you go deeper and you bring this down to, a one-on-one kind of interaction, at the end of the day, I don't care if you're wearing a suit and, or a fancy dress and a tiara, if you know which fork to use. At the end of the day, if you are being polite and proper, in quotation marks, while supporting destruction of every kind on the planet, what does dignity and politeness and diplomacy, where does that stand? What is the point of that? So, where do we go from here? We still have this, we are still under, this monarchy in Canada. There's going to be a new king at this point. Charles III is going to come in. Is it going to benefit us to just be hateful and disgruntled and snarky? Or does this give us the opportunity to engage and make changes? What do those changes look like? What does that dialogue look like? Is it possible to have reparation? Is it possible to, that's the direction. I understand the anger and the hatred, but to sit in that place, I also hear people really being happy that the Queen is dead. And it almost comes across and again, I understand their feeling, but it comes across to me in a very vulgar way, because someone will take her place. It's going to continue. What are you going to do about it? What do we do about it? So, I choose not to be hateful. There are things that anger me, but it's a question of not suppressing those things, but transmuting them. What direction do we go in? Allow that anger to do something constructive. What does that dialogue look like? How does decolonizing work? On the ground, it looks one way. At higher elevation, it looks like something else. But I think a lot of energy is wasted on anger and hatred and resentment. It brings us, down and going around in circles. Nor do I understand. I don't really understand the reverence and admiration for the monarchy. To me, it's just supporting that colonizing mindset, and maybe that's it. The people who do support that need to break out of that mindset. Maybe this is an opportunity to break out of that mindset. When you're on that other side, maybe you don't have the opportunity to see things from the other position as easily because it didn't happen to you. So that's where I am with it. That is where I am with it. And it's going to drive me crazy for the next however many weeks because I'm certain that there is going to be a never-ending barrage of news surrounding the Queen and the funeral and the taking over the throne and the various titles that all of these people will now have, and shifting of whatever. And from my standpoint, it just seems ridiculous. And it feels like another distraction. And I think, who the hell cares? Apparently, millions of people do. And I find that mind-boggling. It's in the same way that millions of people will uphold, this, celebrities or things that, I should say it this way, there are people who have done really good things. They might be spectacular athletes or, activists or, whatnot, innovators. Those people, I understand, holding them in a really high regard. But there's so many people that are nothing but foolish distractions for the masses. And when I think about royalty, the monarchy, things like that, it's just, what does this have to do with anything positive? And I don't want to ignore it altogether, because there's a huge component of, if we're going to pay attention to it, how about we pay attention to the real impacts of these things and the destruction that it's caused over the last several centuries? How about that?